Hi, I'm Dr. Page, the best guy to see on the worst day of your life, and thanks for hanging with me with these videos. We're now coming to the third equation, which I call the life equation. We've looked at the victim equation, which was the first level, and the second level, which was the hero equation, and now we're going to add actually a factor into the equation. And as I do this, I want you to realize the worldview from which I'm coming from. Once again, it may seem that I make this leap that really doesn't make any sense as I begin to talk about grace and the Christian faith. But I want you to remind you that this is not an existential leap. This is not a faith in faith, but this is a faith actually in an object which is based upon absolutes. And I want you to realize too that we're talking about an equation. 2 plus 2 is 4, and that reminds us of absolutes. We live in a culture of arbitrary absolutes where what you believe may be good for you, but it may be very different from what I believe. And as we talk about this, and we talk about the life equation, as we move into this study of grace, of God doing for us what we can't do for ourselves, we first have to take a step back, and we first have to understand truth. Jesus said, "You shall know the truth, and the truth will make you free." So first, in order to understand what God does for us that we cannot do for ourselves, or what I like to call grace, we first have to understand truth. See, Jesus said that He came both in truth and in grace, and those two things coupled together. And so as we begin to talk about absolutes, this idea of 2 plus 2 is 4, it's a very foreign concept for most of us. And I want you to realize that one of the reasons why I jumped to Christianity, say for example, instead of another faith such as Islam or such as Mormonism or as maybe some New Age or Eastern religion, is because basically all of those other spiritual faith backgrounds are basically just in some form or fashion some type of second equation where is based on your performance. In other words, the outcome is dependent upon how well you perform, or performance-based acceptance. Oh, and by the way, how are those two equations working for you? How does it feel to have the outcome of your life totally dependent upon your performance? What do you think about being in control, or at least thinking that you're in control of all the of how you respond and the outcome of your life? That's a heavy weight to carry, isn't it? Well, let me introduce to you the concept of grace. Grace changes the whole equation. And as we enter into the life equation, I would never want to take anything or a relationship for granted, and I definitely do not want to rub this down your throat. But I want you to realize that there are two basic worldviews. First is the Christian worldview, which explains the external reality that we all see in very common sense terms, and it also explains who we are and what makes us tick. And then Christianity, of course, believes in absolutes. It believes that those absolutes or those truths or those facts are external to man, and that man in and of himself cannot come to understand those on his own. It doesn't mean that those truths are irrational. In fact, many of those truths are very rational. But it also says that some of those truths are super rational. They're above our understanding, and they must be revealed to us from God. And that's where grace comes in. Of course, the second worldview is that of humanism. Basically puts man in the center, and it says that man in his own thinking and through his own rational thought can come to understand the world around him, can come to understand himself and his identity, and even come to understand the meaning and the purpose of life. Well, we know if we look at history, how that has worked over the years, and how philosophy and philosophers have always kind of came short. And so ultimately, after Kant and then Hegel and then finally Kierkegaard, who made the illogical, blind leap of faith, which is not the faith that we Christians believe, we found that there really was no understanding, no absolutes, and we left that understanding of truth. But Christianity is based upon facts, it's based upon truth, it's based upon absolutes. Just like mathematics, we can rely on those things, and sometimes the truth hurts. Sometimes we have to change the way that we think about reality and about ourselves. And so, once again, no one is cramming this down your throat. In fact, if you don't feel comfortable with proceeding, that's okay. I still have a free gift for you that you can download when you sign off. But if you dare, I would challenge you to come and learn more about this life equation. Even if you're not a Christian, this may help you understand a little bit more about what actually Christians believe and really give you a bigger picture of what Christianity is. There are so many people that have a distorted view of Christianity. They get little pieces of the pie but never really get the big picture. And that's one of the things I think that the life equation helps us to understand. But there's one thing I know for sure. When you add grace into the equation, that changes everything.